Today I am going to talk about text sizes and color contrast in web accessible design. Since the Rehabilitation Act with the sections 504 and 508, the Canadian Bill C-81 or the upcoming European Accessibility Act, and countless other legislative efforts have been made, the internet is going through changes. Most countries have based their requirements on WCAG 2.1 AA standard, since this is a measurable system for accessibility online. One of the requirements for WCAG 2.1 AA is Success Criterion 1.4.3. The visual representation of text and images of text has a contrast ratio of at least 4.5 to 1, except for the following. Large text. Large-scale text and images of large-scale text have a contrast ratio of at least 3 to 1. Incidental, text or images of text that are part of an inactive user interface component, that are pure decoration, that are not visible to anyone, or that are part of a picture that contains significant other visual content have no contrast requirement. Logo types. Text that is part of a logo or brand name has no minimum contrast requirement. So what does that mean? Starting with the first sentence, we learn that there is no difference between text and images of text regarding color contrast. However, other rules state that HTML text is clearly preferred. If no HTML text is possible, you need to include the text in the alt label of your image. We also learn when going into the link explanation texts that contrast ratio means the relation between the gray values of two colors. These can be easily checked with tools like Color Contrast Checker. To understand the values of these tools better, 1 to 1 means there is no contrast at all, which is not the same color necessarily. Different color tones can have the same gray value. 21 to 1 means the maximum of black and white, and it doesn't make a difference which is text and which is background. We also do learn that there is no universal standard to colors, but the required ratio is dependent on the text size. Larger text is generally being sufficient with a lighter ratio than smaller text. Larger text is defined for this rule as at least 18 point for regular and light texts or 14 point for bold fonts. Small text is defined as anything smaller than 18 point regular or light or 14 point bold text. Those small texts require a contrast ratio of 4.5. Another information is that text on images that is incidental, for example as the writing on a storefront in the background or a street sign, do not need to be included. Also, logo types do not need to follow a contrast ratio. But you can, however, decide yourself if your logo should be visible to as many people as possible. I hope this explanation has helped you in some way to understand this matter a bit more into detail. Till the next time, bye!